Hey Internet, it's me. Now, I did a video a while ago talking about some independent fan-made video game films. And I said there would be a follow-up because there were more fan films, and this is that follow-up. So, the last time there was a Mega Man and a Sonic movie, and in the end I thought they were both pretty good. You know, they did a fair enough job doing what they could with the budget they had. They were both good representations of the source material. They were perfectly fine. This time, we have a bit more extreme. The first one I'm going to talk about is Metroid: The Sky Falls, or is it The Sky Calls? It's The Sky Calls. It is a very good movie. Now I say movie, it's a featurette basically. It's only about 10 minutes long if you cut out the credits, and it's mostly just a lead up to what presumably was an ambition for a much bigger, longer film with a bigger story. However, it's still incredible. For one, they use a lot of the music from the original game. It's woven all throughout the score. It's wonderfully done. The whole time, the sounds are brilliant. And the story they're doing is really kind of cool. Basically, Samus is recording a message as basically like her captain's log as she's going to answer a distress signal. And while she's there, she gets into basically just an empty temple. And all of a sudden, through the Varia suit, and yes, she does curl up into the ball, it is the full Varia suit. It's very well animated, really great effects. But as she's in her suit in this temple, she all of a sudden gets spoken to via the recording she made earlier. And bits and pieces of it are clipped and rearranged, basically how Bumblebee talks in the terrible Transformers movies. Well, they do that to send her the message that, hey, we actually need you to go here. And then she fights some pirates, she flies off to this place, all of a sudden a little bit of space magic happens, and poof, she's whooshed into a completely unmapped little star system thing. And that's basically where it ends. So, like I said, it's short, it's setting up something cool. Unfortunately, I don't know if that something cool is ever going to happen, because I think this is, I want to say, 13 years old at this point? It's been a minute. But it's really cool to see. There's only one actress, but she does a great job. Like I said, the effects are incredible. The spaceships look really cool. The Varia suit looks incredible. The music is amazing. The atmosphere is really well done. It looks like it's a high-budget thing. Like, it looks like it's in space. Everything looks really good. It's very well made. So, I definitely recommend this one if you're a Metroid fan or even just a sci-fi fan. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't know if we'll ever get the payoff for what it was building to. I think it's just eternally going to be this little tease, but it's great nonetheless. So, yeah, give it a go. However, the other one I'm going to talk about is a different movie. It's The Legend of Zelda: The Hero of Time. So, first of all, I'm a huge Zelda fan. I think that's been documented. And this is actually based on the Ocarina of Time, which is one of the most popular Zelda games ever made, and what most people, or at least what a lot of people, consider to be the #1 best Zelda game ever made. So, very high bar right from the start. And I gotta say, they missed that bar in pretty much everything. I'll start with the positive, and that is the music and the score here is great. All throughout, they're weaving in bits of the various songs from Ocarina of Time, which is good, because if they didn't, there would be no movie. The entire Zelda franchise has always kind of been based on or built around music. For example, you know, when you're waking the fish in Link's Awakening, that's all about finding the instruments and using music to wake him. Ocarina of Time is all about the ocarina and the various songs you learn and what they do. Wind Waker, you know, so much of the franchise is not only just has great music and soundtrack in the background, but the story itself kind of centers around the music, at least as like a secondary note. So it's very important that they got that right, and it is one thing that they got right. So absolute credit for that. They did a great job with the music. That's kind of where the positives end. I wanted to like this, I really did. I know that it's a fan film, so I can cut them a lot of slack. For example, the budget for effects is obviously just not there. There are very few effects. There are very few like monsters. There are no temples. Most of the sub-weapons, the spells, those kinds of things that you see in the game, not here. And all of that I could overlook. I get it. You know, you're on a budget. It sucks because those are iconic things, you know. I would have loved to have seen somehow the Zora, or to see him go into the Great Deku Tree, or to fight the ghost, the Pose in the Forest Temple. You know, there's some really cool things that visually would have been amazing to see here, and they just couldn't do it. And it stinks, but I get it. You're on a budget. I've worked on a budget film. I know how that goes. But there's a lot of other things that I can't overlook. One of them just being terrible writing. A lot of the lines here are just really cheesy and really hokey, and the actors weren't great either, but I feel like even if you had better actors, there was no way to deliver the lines that were written in a way that would have made it good. But speaking of the actors, we have Link, played by David Blaine, and no, not that David Blaine. And he is wearing the worst wig I've ever seen. He doesn't have pointed ears, and he talks a lot, and I hate that. Now I understand that it would be pretty hard to make a movie without the protagonist talking. I mean, there are movies that have done it, but I guess I understand why they wanted him to talk. You know, it's easier to drive the story forward, especially because they took out some of the exposition machines, namely Navi and that freaking owl, which, I guess, that is another positive for the movie. No Navi. Good job. But still, Link talks a lot. I hate it. And it's not great. So yeah, I didn't love that actor in that role. He didn't look right. He talked too much, which again, that's not his fault, but his delivery of the lines that he did was not great, and that is his fault. So overall, not a good job. Also, we had Adam Boyer as Ganon, and honestly, I don't even know if he did a good job, because every time he was on screen, I could not get past his awful costume. The hair and the makeup and everything just looked so hokey and so awful that it's like a train wreck. You can't not look at it, and it just, like, you hate it, but it sucks you in. So that was not great. But bad acting and bad writing aside, it's also a bad movie. The production was really not good. There are a lot of awkward cuts. Like I said, the directing was not great. I don't think these people were given a lot of direction as far as what emotions to portray or how to deliver a line or any of that. I think someone just pointed a camera at some folks and said, all right, do a thing. And they did, and we got what we got. And it kind of sucks. Also, they changed the story. Part of it, obviously, they have to make up for the lack of effects and therefore a lack of temples. And, you know, there's no moblins. You're not going to see Goma or a lot of the bigger monsters show up. You're not going inside the Deku Tree or the giant whale in Zora's Domain. So they had to write around that. So instead, the story focuses on Link and his relationship with the various people he meets along the way. Like Saria, for example, who in here is not a potential love interest, but rather his adoptive mother, which is weird. He meets Impa, who I know that she's older than Link and Zelda, but she seemed just too old. I don't know if it was a bad cast, or maybe the lady was just acting weird and seemed older than she was. I don't know what the deal was, but I didn't like Impa. Obviously, there's Zelda and Sheik, and just, I don't know. Overall, there wasn't anything here that was great. The story kind of drags, especially because you don't have the action and the excitement to kind of break scenes up. There's a whole lot of just talking, and Link wandering aimlessly, and then more talking, and then he's kind of a klutz and also kind of a douche, and then more talking, and then finally at the very end, you get a semi-cool sword fight with Ganon. Again, no budget for effects, so it doesn't look as badass as it could, but, I mean, it was serviceable. And then that's kind of the end. But overall, it just, I don't know. Once again, I get that it's an indie movie, I get that they're on a budget, I understand why some of these problems exist, but at the same time, I still wish they would have done better. And some of the problems, there's no excuse for. You know, the writing and the acting and the directing, you don't need a great budget to pull that off. And I say that as someone who did a terrible job acting in an indie film with no budget. But at least ours looked really pretty. This one, just eh. So, yeah. Those are the two movies. Metroid, like I said, was great. Definitely go find that. I'm pretty sure it's still on YouTube. The other one, The Hero of Time, it's a full feature-length movie. It's almost 2 hours long. So definitely skip that if you value your time. And if you look at a lot of the reviews online, because I was curious what other people were saying before I went in to write up what I was saying, and a lot of them said pretty much the same things as me. It differs from the movie because they really sacrificed a lot because of the budget, and it shows, and it kind of sucks. A lot of people still find it fun, or at least interesting, but definitely not worth it. If you have to watch it, you won't want to kill yourself afterward, but don't go out of your way. It's not great. And yeah, I guess that's it. It's honestly kind of hard to talk about the movies. Like, I know I rambled a lot, but when it's so bad that it's just not even fun to watch, it's hard to say anything about it. You know, when you get one that's so bad it's good, you can say a lot of things because the cheesy bad parts stick out, and you know they're memorable because of how bad they are. Like, I Was a Teenage Wereskunk. Great film, one of the best movies I've ever seen. Absolutely love it. Recommend it to everybody. But there's scenes in there, for example, where the wereskunk kills, I believe, 2 people, and body parts are flying from off screen. And you see enough body parts to make up a good 7, 8 people. It's a hysterical gag. It's funny. It's cheesy. You know, the body parts look fake as hell. It's obviously just like limbs tore off a mannequin, but it's just so campy and ridiculous that it's fun. And it stands out as a memorable thing, even though it's bad and ridiculous. Zelda didn't have any of that. It's just straight up bad. So, yeah. I'm just going to leave it there and stop rambling. So, I hope you enjoyed my rambling. Also, if y'all come across, I don't know who I'm talking to, no one watches my videos, but if y'all come across any other fan films that I didn't find because I honestly didn't look too hard, these 4 were ones I was already aware of, shoot them over, because I always, I love watching movies, and even if they're crappy ones, I'll give it a go. So, yeah, there's that. And now I'm going to go. Okay, bye.